All right, today we're diving deep into an invisible world that's all around us and inside us. We're talking about microbes. And trust me, understanding the difference between something like a bacterium and a virus, it might be one of the most important things you can learn for your own health. So let's get right into it. So, why does all this matter? Well, let's start with a story, a true story. Picture this. It's May of 2000 in a small town called Walkerton, Ontario. People are going about their day, turning on their taps, but what came out was a nightmare. The water they trusted, the water they drank every single day, had been poisoned. The result? It was absolutely catastrophic. We're talking about 2,300 people. That's nearly half the entire town getting violently ill. Cramps, fevers, vomiting, you name it. An entire community just brought to its knees by an invader they couldn't even see. And tragically, it didn't stop there. For 7 people, the consequences were fatal. They died. This isn't some fictional horror story. This was a real-life public health disaster, and it was all caused by one tiny microscopic organism. So what was this invisible killer? Well, the culprit was a bacterium you've probably heard of, E. coli. It had seeped into the town's water system from the runoff of nearby farms. And that one event is just a chilling reminder of how incredibly powerful these tiny life forms can be. Okay, so that E. coli from the Walkerton tragedy, that's just one player in a huge, unbelievably diverse world of organisms. So let's zoom out a bit and take a look at the bigger picture here, the amazing world of microbes. We can sort these microorganisms into 6 main groups. And when I say their world is staggering, I really mean it. Get this, microbes make up more than 60% of all living matter on Earth. They are literally everywhere, from the soil under our feet to boiling hot springs. But here's the thing, microbes aren't all bad guys, not by a long shot. Take bacteria, for instance. We absolutely need them. They help create amazing foods like cheese and yogurt. And hey, they're living in your gut right now, helping you digest your meals. But, and this is a big but, other types of bacteria are the villains behind some of history's most devastating diseases, a true friend and foe situation. So, when we're talking about a microbe that can make us sick, there's a specific scientific term for it, a pathogen. It's basically the technical name for what we all just call germs. That E. coli we talked about, a pathogen. The influenza virus, also a pathogen. So let's zoom in a little further and focus on the 2 types of pathogens we probably hear about the most. It's time for the classic showdown, bacteria versus viruses. Before we even get into the biology, let's just try to wrap our heads around the size difference. Viruses are, well, they're ridiculously small. I mean, try to picture this. You could fit 500 million rhinoviruses, the virus that causes the common cold, on the head of a single pin. 500 million. That makes them thousands of times smaller than most bacteria. So here's the most important thing to remember. Bacteria and viruses are fundamentally different. Bacteria are alive. They're complete, single-celled organisms that eat, grow, and reproduce all on their own. Viruses, on the other hand, well, many scientists don't even consider them truly living. They're just a little bit of genetic material, like DNA or RNA, wrapped up in a protein coat. They can't do anything until they hijack a living cell. This difference gets even clearer when you look at how they reproduce. Bacteria use a simple process called binary fission. It's incredibly fast. The cell just copies its DNA and then splits into 2. That's it. Some bacteria can do this every 20 minutes, which is exactly why a bacterial infection can make you feel so sick so quickly. Viruses, though, are way more sinister. They can't reproduce on their own, so they invade our cells and turn them into little virus factories. Sometimes, in what's called the lytic cycle, they make so many new copies that the host cell just bursts open, releasing a whole new army of viruses. Other times, they play the long game. That's the lysogenic cycle. The virus actually weaves its genetic code into our own DNA, hiding out and lying dormant until the conditions are just right to strike. All right, so we've met the individual players. Now let's talk about what happens when these pathogens start to spread on a massive global scale. First up, you have an endemic disease. Think of this as the baseline level. It's a disease that's always present at a low, predictable rate in a specific area. A perfect example is the common cold during winter. It's just kind of there. Next, you've got an epidemic. This is when things escalate. An epidemic is a sudden, sharp increase in cases that goes way beyond what you'd normally expect. It's a regional outbreak that's spreading fast. And finally, the big one, a pandemic. This is an epidemic that has gone global. It's crossed international borders and is affecting a huge number of people across different continents. And make no mistake, pandemics have shaped human history. The Black Death in the 14th century was caused by a bacterium, and it wiped out an estimated 60% of Europe's population. More recently, the Spanish flu of 1918 and the ongoing HIV/AIDS pandemic, both caused by viruses, show the absolutely devastating global reach these things can have. Now, I know all of this information can seem a little overwhelming, but the goal here isn't to scare you, it's to empower you. Understanding the enemy is always the first step to defending against it. So let's bring all this back to what we can actually do. Let's go all the way back to the Walkerton story. That was caused by the E. coli bacterium. And the good news is, simple actions can protect us. Cooking ground beef to the right temperature, washing your hands and your produce really well, and choosing pasteurized products. These are all super effective ways to prevent bacterial food poisoning. And here is a crucial tip for your kitchen. Bacteria love what's called the danger zone. That's between 4 and 60 degrees Celsius, so basically from cool to lukewarm. Keeping your cold food cold and your hot food hot isn't just a suggestion, it's one of the most important rules of food safety. So think about the journey we just took. We went from a contaminated well in a small town to the global stage of pandemics and all the way back to our own kitchens. The world of microbes is complex, sure, but our defenses can be pretty straightforward. So the question I want to leave you with is this. Thinking about your own daily life, what are some simple changes you can make to better coexist with this invisible world?